Does anybody have the Holy Spirit today? Nah, they don't. Not according to the Bible story. You see, God was going to pour that Spirit upon all those living within the last days. The last days of humanity? No. The last days of the Jewish age, which ended by the destruction of their temple in AD 70. So we can pick up the story in Acts chapter 2, in which God says, I will pour out all my Spirit on those living within the last days. Okay? So we get a clear picture on when the last days were, because in Acts chapter 2, that Spirit came down on the day of Pentecost. Okay? Now, when the apostles were filled with this Holy Spirit, what were they doing? Did it help them, did it prompt them to give to a needy person? Did it keep them from watching a dirty movie? Did it keep them from swearing? Did it prompt them to do, good to their neighbor? No. No. Listen, the Holy Spirit was a lot more powerful than what Christians are saying today. Christians loosely say, I have the Holy Spirit, and there's not a whole lot of difference from their lives to anybody else out in the world. Okay? Listen, the Holy Spirit, you had supernatural power, okay? These gifts were one, okay? The initial gift that came down was the ability to speak in another man's language. Now, why do you suppose that this gift was given? Well, because Christ tells his apostles to go into all the land and preach the good news. So they needed a supernatural ability, and they were healing people with leprosy, and it was falling off their body. Where do you see that kind of healing today? Now, you see people lay hands on others, and within a week or two they're like, oh, I was healed. But when do you see instantaneous healing? You don't see that. And not to mention, what else were the apostles doing? Well, they were actually raising the dead. That's what the story states. Do you see that going on in the world today? No. Nobody's raising the dead, especially people that were dead for 2 or 3 days. Now, you might hear of somebody being brought back to life in the emergency room after 5 or 10 seconds. But that's not the same. That's not the same as what the apostles did. So it's time to, come to terms with, get a grip to the reality that you do not possess the Holy Spirit that the Bible speaks of. Okay? Are you a good person? Maybe so. And but that's not the Holy Spirit. Okay? There's plenty of people that are doing kind acts across the world, and they're also keeping from doing evil, and they're not a Christian. So how are they doing it without the Holy Spirit? Now, the Holy Spirit's not what you think it is. Okay? The Holy Spirit was defined as in the Bible. Now, people will say, yeah, but I have the gift. I have the gift of tongues. No, you don't. No, you don't. The gift of tongues was the supernatural ability to speak in another man's language. So what you see or what you hear about in the world today, about people speaking in tongues, that's a counterfeit. That's gibberish. Okay? And that's actually taught. I've been to churches, they actually teach you how to speak in tongues. That's not the same as the biblical tongues in the Bible. Okay? So you're not doing that. And some people will say, well, I hear about people being healed in other countries. No. Have you seen it firsthand? And you got 2.4 billion Christians in the world today. You mean to tell me that you could not see firsthand somebody walking into a hospital and healing somebody instantly, and then them taking that person and walking out of the hospital? You don't see it because it's not for today. It may not even have even happened. But you don't have the biblical Holy Spirit.